I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Welcome to another episode. The quick story is Jimmy sold me my first shot of heroin in 1974. And if it hadn't have been Jimmy, it would have been someone else. You know, I'm not one of these guys that go like, oh, that guy's, it's all bullshit. I believe that's all shit because I was a junkie looking for somewhere to happen for me, so welcome, Jimmy, to The Truth About Addiction, mate. Love to have you on.
I'd just like to say you did pay me for that hit, so you obviously wanted it.
I actually wanted it for sure. What's happening, mate?
Oh, not a lot, mate. I've been clean since the 9th of May 1990.
Nice.
And, it hasn't all been sweet. We were talking about it before, Ronnie. Like, I sort of got clean in the 80s, the same as you did. But I had a few relapses along the way, and then it wasn't until the 9th of May when I actually moved. It was the day I moved to Queensland, so I remember when it was.
Yeah.
That I actually got clean. I was on methadone for a few years, but I needed that to get me to where I am today. So.
Yeah, funny. Some people bag methadone and things like that, but like yourself, there's a lot of people I know that went through the dome and it worked for them.
Yep. Yeah, well, it worked for me. Yep. But you have to make it. It's like any rehab or anything that you're doing, you have to want it to work.
100%.
Otherwise, it's no good whatsoever.
Yeah, I talk about that. I took 5 years, of like trying before I got clean this time and stayed clean. And the only difference was I wanted it more last time, and I was prepared to go to any lengths not to pick up, We can all find excuses to pick up, mate, but, the reality is there is no excuse because, using's not going to change anything for us. It's never fixed anything for me anyway.
I find a lot of it getting clean from addiction is keeping yourself busy.
Yep.
Because if you're sitting at home by yourself, Ron, you have too many bad thoughts, or if you get a bit lonely, the only people that you know are people that don't work, so you're sort of hanging in the wrong crowd, But I mean, I'm not that way now, but that's how I was when I was first getting myself clean.
100%. You've got to have a purpose.
Yeah.
I believe if you haven't got a purpose, why would you get up? If you haven't got a destination, then you're lost.
Yep.
And you and I both know, we always wanted more. I guess that's why we sold drugs and that's why we did what we did, because we always wanted more. We wanted to have a better life, because I came from a shit upbringing, poor, and I think you came from a very similar sort of lifestyle.
So I only just found out that your old man went out with Debbie's mum.
That's how I met Debbie.
Yeah, I only just found that out.
As we both know, we're very lucky to be here because a lot of people that we grew up with are not here anymore. So what's your story, Jimmy? How did you start using, mate? What was your story? Because you were using when I met you.
Yeah, I went away to Rockhampton with a mate to work in the abattoirs up there, and then when I came back to Sydney, the group that I'd sort of left when I went to Rockhampton were using. So that was sort of it, just the group that I was associated with before I left with using when I got back.
What year was that, mate?
Oh, it's got to be about 1972 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was only I would have only been 17, maybe 18 tops.
Yeah, it was 19 when I started using and I just met you. That was in 74.
Yeah, well, I would have only been going a year or so prior to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Prior to meeting you.
And as I said, I met you and I had a shot and I fell in love with it. I thought, how long has this been going? I found the answer to all those fucking questions I had. And for me, and this sounds terrible, I loved heroin.
So did I.
I fucking loved it. I loved the way it made me not feel. I didn't care anymore, because I was always worried about, like my father, the way he brought me up, I was full of fear. I never felt like I was enough, all those things, and then I found heroin and it was like, oh man, how long, this is the grouse. If you remember, I had a shot on that whatever day it was, and then the next day I came and seen you and said, how much is an ounce? How much can we buy half an ounce for? Let's do it together. We'll be business partners. Blah, 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 you know. And then I couldn't even shoot myself up, you know. You said to come and shoot me up every morning. It was quite funny, really. You know. And,
yeah, you soon learned that.
oh, fuck yeah. Both ends. I'm ambidextrous too. Yeah, it's something about being an active addict that you learn very quickly, you know. The same as you learn about chemists and breaking into chemists and what drugs will do what, and you know, because you know.
Yeah, I didn't know you got into that until you told me when we were talking last week.
Yeah, well, that was towards the end when I'd run out of money and I'd run out of the ability to earn, and I couldn't rob anybody anymore because no one trusted me.
Yeah,
When we started using, mate, it was more of a social thing. You could go to someone's house and there'd be gear sitting on the table.
yeah. Well, that's how we started. We used to do it over weekend. Well, and out of the ones that we were doing it with, probably out of the 7, 5 of us ended up addicted.
Yeah.
Some longer than others, you know, and some had affected more. Like I was telling you the other day, you know, I went to jail twice.
Yep.
The others, I don't think went once, but I was prepared to do more to get the money.
Yeah, exactly.
To get on.
That's something that a lot of people don't understand, that haven't never experienced addiction, especially heroin addiction. You'll go to any lengths to stop yourself from being sick, because there is a terrible physical withdrawal with heroin. You know, a lot of people don't understand because they're not using that anymore these days, and they don't understand the cravings. But the withdrawals for me were insane. You know, I don't know if you remember the cramps and the fucking feeling like.
Do I remember? I've still got all my memory, but I remember.
Remember the feel like you had grubs, some sort of insect crawling under your skin, and the cramps, the legs, the vomiting, the bile, and I never want to forget that.
Whereas, as far as I can see in this day and age now with the meth, when they come down off that, it's more they sleep for 3 or 4 days. You know, more so than us going fucking berserk and prepared to rob anyone. Mother, father, brother, sister, doesn't matter who it is. We just got to get money to get on.
It's even with that Subutex and that buprenorphine, those detoxes look like nothing. You know, I have clients that come off it at home while I'm talking to them on the computer every day for within 8-10 days. They're sweet.
Yep.
You've had a couple of bad nights sleep, and I had some cramps in my legs. I wanted to cut my legs off. You know?
Yeah, what was that? What's that on the Subutex?
On the Subby, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not a big withdrawal at all, apparently.
Oh, is it? Oh.
No. I just had a couple of young guys go through it. Not young, 35, 40-year-old guys go through it recently. And I just sat there and watched them, and it was like, far out. You know, this is where, on the other hand, the methadone, that was something.
Yeah, no, that was a long drain, that one.
That was something else, because I jumped off 120 cold, which, you know, they won't even do it in hospitals anymore. They just, you know, it was just insanity. That was desperation. I was just scared that if I kept on using that I was going to die. And
where'd you do the 120? Where'd you do that
at Langton Clinic.
Oh, yeah.
But it only lasted 10 days, and they kicked me out because that was in 1986, the 3rd of March, 1986, because they were scared that I was going to die, because they'd never withdrawn anyone off cold turkey before.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
But I was only on 40.
Yeah, I was off on 120, and they just said, look, we can't guarantee what's going to happen here. We want to give you some, you know, a little bit of dosage to bring you down, the methadone. Yeah. And I infused it, and I left, and I actually went and detoxed on a couple of mates' floors.
Oh.
Fucking crazy. But, you know, it was worth it.
Yeah, well, I was only on 40. And when I went into, I had a furnished room, and when I woke up, all out was a mattress on the ground and a bloke another addict, sitting on the chair at the end of the bed, watching me to make sure I didn't do anything fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I don't recommend it, you know. So we can talk about our using story, but that's quite boring. What I like to talk about is you got off the gear in 1990, and you moved to the Gold Coast, and you started working.
Yeah, I was lucky when I left Sydney. Deb and I, because we also had that business at Burwood, and we left Sydney with a little bit of money.
Yep.
And I'd bought a house up here, and I mortgaged that to buy the gas business. And and that was a good thing for me as well, because once I mortgaged that, because I owned the house, once I mortgaged the house, I had plenty of reason to get out of bed then, because I had fucking money to pay to the bank, and I didn't want to go back to where I was. So it just kept me motivated and working, and we did really well out of it, Ron. I sold that business, started another gas business, supplying the pubs and clubs with their CO2 for their beer.
Yep.
And that grew into a monster.
Yeah,
then I sold that out to a French company called Liquid Air Liquid. But before that, I bought the self-storage complex next door to my gas depot. And that was the business that really made it for me.
Yeah, nice. But it's nice to hear a success story.
Well, as I said, when I first came here, I was on methadone.
Yeah.
And the pharmacy that I was at in Southport, they always referred to me as their success story.
Yeah, right.
The one person that came in for like I've been through the pharmacy, I've been through his houses in Eleanor, I've been through his units up in Southport. They could see that I was okay.
Yep. And did Deb stop using with you?
Deb stopped using. She's a fucking strong woman, Ronnie. Yeah. She's a dead strong woman. She came off pretty much cold turkey on methadone. Not cold turkey, but pretty quick.
Yeah.
When we had the nail salon at Burwood, as soon as she fell pregnant with Matthew, our oldest boy, she came off methadone because she didn't want to be on it when he was born. Yeah. She did an amazing job, and she was a hell of a lot stronger than me, and a hell of a lot stronger. So, it'd be nothing for her to come downstairs at 7 a.m, which I wasn't expecting. Find me hitting up and down and doing those desperate sort of things,
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a shame. But she was really strong, a hard worker. She was fucking great. Now she's had a breakdown. I told you the other day she's had a breakdown and she's not well, mate.
That's sad, because we both know. Everyone's got their own crosses to bear, but she had her own cross to bear too. God love her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she did.
She started behind the 8 ball. Oh, God love her. Yeah. I think about that family. My mind just. If I ever wrote a book about that family, mate, it'd be a bestseller.
Yeah, well, I think there were 6 in the family. She's the only one left now.
She's the only one alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's the same as, I believe I'm alive to do what I do.
Because you're a grub, Ronnie. Only the good die young because you're a grub.
That's it.
That's the only reason both of us are here.
I still believe, that my higher power had something good in line for me. I've had a great life. I really have. The last 40 years have been fantastic. Sure, I've relapsed a couple of times, back in the early days, and I went back to the Nick and that, mate. Do I regret going back to the Nick? Fucking oath I do. Am I sorry that I got back involved in crime? Fuck yeah. Could I change it in a heartbeat? In a heartbeat. But I can't. It was my choice. I'm not a victim.
I caught up with there was a guy up here that I used to knock around with when I was 12 and 13 that's into horses, always has been. Anyway, I went into a few race horses with him. And then we caught up with another guy in Sydney they're both clean, by the way. Anyway, and Steve Wells, his name was, he said to me, have you got any regrets about this and that? And I said, look, you can look back on things. I said, but I look at where my life is now, and I'm really happy. And even the other guy that I was in the horses with said the same thing. He said, Jim, you've come a long way, Yeah. So it's all right, Gee, what's the regrets aren't going to do you anything?
Exactly. As long as you learn by them and use them as some sort of, I use them as a catalyst to be able to help other people. And say, this is what happened to me. I don't tell people what to do. I say, this is what happened when I did what you're doing. You know, and this is where I ended up. You know, do you want to end up there? You know, like, and you know, and you got how many boys? You got 2 beautiful boys.
2,
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, I've never met both your sons now. It's nice.
And
Both
one in well, I've got 3. I've got one in America as well.
Okay, you haven't met that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember Sue Kerr?
I do remember Sue. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got one to her.
Oh, that's back in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was. It's another thing I did to John Hall. She was John Hall's girlfriend.
Yeah. Right.
I backdoored him.
You were good at that. Yeah, I've got to laugh. You know, the viewers don't know that Debbie was my girlfriend before she was Jimmy's girlfriend. But I only put a deposit down. He actually fucking paid it off.
Still paying. I picked up. She's my ex-wife now, and I picked her up from hospital this morning. I'm still paying.
Yes, no, mate. Once you've got children with them, you pay for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I've got 40-year-old twin daughters. You know. Mate, I love it. You know, it's a gift that we've been given this fucking incredible life. And we've got through some turmoil, big deal. As I said before, I'm not a big one on regret. I'm a big one on learning from it. I'll never make the same mistake again. I'll never go back into crime. I'll never go back into drug dealing or drug using or anything like that, mate. I'd rather put a gun in my mouth and blow me fucking head off than go back to that world. I just don't want it.
Yeah, well, drugs aren't my thing. No, they're not now. That's just not a part of my life anymore. And people that I associate with, Ronnie, they're all fucking squareheads.
Yep.
All squareheads.
Yeah, I don't associate people using or dealing, or I just got no time for it anymore, mate. In fact, I see what ICE is doing to people, and I think, why would you want to be part of that?
Oh, it's fucking tragic.
Yeah,
it's
why
tragic.
would you be part of that? You know,
it was bad enough what we were going through, but this is a whole different ball game.
Yeah. You know, I've got a daughter who's 16 years clean. You know, and it was I just remember she went through the fucking speed and the coke, and it was like horrifying.
How old is she?
She's 40.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the twins, yeah, mate.
16 years clean.
16 years clean, yeah. She runs a drug detox centre in a private.
Right.
Yeah, so you know, like I'm blessed that because I'm clean. She was like, Ramey, there's a way out, and she went and got clean. You know, so it was nice. So what are you doing today these days, mate?
Well, I'm finding it a little bit hard to fill in my days now that I've sold the storage complex. But like this morning, I'm back at the gym now after the heart operation.
Yeah.
So I do gym for about an hour and a half, and then I go and have breakfast with a few mates, and we talk football and talk crap.
Yep.
Now I'm not sure what I'll do. You've helped me fill in half an hour.
And you got a new missus?
Yeah, I've got a new Thai missus.
Yeah, nice lady.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, but we had a blue last night. But anyway, you get that.
That was your fault, probably.
So what do you do?
Mate, this morning I've had 2 clients on, you know, because I run a rehabilitation centre through Zoom, and, you know, try to teach people how to live life without taking drugs. You see, everyone focuses on that the drug's the problem. The drugs aren't the problem. We're the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thinking's the problem. I say to everybody, if you haven't got a drinking problem, you've got a thinking problem. So I've had 2 clients this morning. I've got a podcast with a guy from Indonesia today, an Australian guy, but he's over there. He runs marathons. He does charity marathons all the time now. So then I picked my little girl up my boy up from school, then my daughter up from kindergarten. Her birthday's coming up. I've got to go and buy her a push bike. You know, life's fucking wonderful, mate. I had no understanding of what life was. I remember looking at people in the morning when I'd be walking down the street, the arse out of me pants, going to rob someone to get on, seeing someone to go to work and think, fucking stiff.
Yeah.
Now I'm the stiff.
Yeah.
I like it. I like being the stiff.
Yeah, well, I didn't mind it. It was good for me, Ronnie. It was what I needed.
Yeah.
As I said, the free time is bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And it doesn't matter what your addiction is, whether it's gambling or whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty much still all the same. It's just a different drug. That's all.
I'm addicted to recovery now. I'm addicted to helping people. I'm still an addict. I've still got the addictive personality, but I've just channeled it into something positive.
Yep.
I'm still obsessive and compulsive. I'm obsessive and compulsive with my garden. I've got a pretty big property, and I take about 1.5 ton of foliage out of here about every 6 weeks because I've got a big garden, big Balinese garden, and that stuff grows, and
What, you get out there and do the gardening?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do all the garden, do my own lawn. We designed it all, planted it all.
Oh, yeah, good.
I love it. I love it, mate.
Yeah, good.
And, we renovated the house.
I'd enjoy sitting on the veranda watching you do that.
Yeah,
because I'm not into it at all.
Yeah, I am, mate. I'm into all that stuff. I love it. I've employed other people to do it. They can't do it as good as me, so I get the shits. They come and do the lawns, and I go and redo them. Like I have a little bit of a obsessive compulsive
disorder.
Yeah, that's part of my addiction.
Yep.
And I like things done properly. If you're going to do it properly. Yep. That's why I'm so successful when I did the jewelry company, when I did the cars, when I do anything, even the cleaning companies, because I'm so obsessive and compulsive, everything's got to be done fucking perfect. Yep. So people loved it. People loved, the quality of my workmanship is always the best. And if I can't do the best, I employ the person who can do the best.
If you're going to work for yourself, you have to do it properly. There's only one way to do it, and that's the right way.
100%. And you've got to have principles. You've got to be honest. You've got to be thorough. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be reliable. You've got to be open. And you've got to be accepting what they say. If they say, "Oh, mate, that's not quite the way I want it," you go, "Okay, mate, well, how do you want it? I'll fix it." And I believe that's the secret of success with life, with relationships, having an open mind and being considerate to other people's needs and wants. And mate, sometimes people aren't right. And I just go, "Yeah, okay, what do you want me to do?" I don't say, "No, you're not right." I say, "How do you want?" And then you explain to them, it's not feasible. I've had customers that want me to do stuff to cars that were just fucking impossible. And then I explain to them, "You can't do it because of these reasons." And then they go, "Oh, okay." But, I don't go, "No, you can't do it." I explain to them why you can't do it. And then we can do this way, and we'll give them options, like the same as life. We can't do everything in life that we want to do either. So we have to adapt to it and change. And as addicts, we're good at that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Mate, I could sell quinine to a heroin user and tell him it was fucking heroin.
What?
I said I could sell quinine to a junkie. Do you remember?
Well, I did sell it. I did sell it to Debbie's brother.
Yeah.
Half an ounce of it.
Which one, John? Yeah.
Half an ounce of it.
There's a whole story in that bloke there.
and he tasted it with his finger and said, "Oh, fuck, that's good shit."
Yeah. Yeah, I got him for a little bit myself, just quietly. But anyway, that's in my book, There's a story where he got pinched in Melbourne. I don't know if you remember, he got pinched in Melbourne. No, it was about 1976. It's about 76, 77 is when they brought the 10 pound back from Malaysia. And he took a whole bunch down to Melbourne to sell to some bloke. Anyway, he got pinched down there with a heap of money. They didn't find the gear. The gear was in a hotel room.
Yep.
So he told me where it was, and I caught a plane down, and the jacks were watching the joint. And he said to me, I rang him up and I said, "This cop was what?" He said, "You know what he's like, arrogant. Fuck it, don't worry about it." Then he hung up on me. I went back to the room and I thought, I can get this. And then I ended up by doing a cat burglar, sneaking in, and I knocked it under the coppers. The coppers didn't know where it was, but they knew that something was there. So I got it and I stole it, and I never ever told him. I got a half a pound. I was actually...
You wouldn't have sold all of it, Ronnie.
I didn't sell any of it, mate. I was stuck it all up my arm. I was going to sell it and be a millionaire, and as always, my own best customer.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that.
Yeah. It was back in the day, him and Jenny went down there. Do you remember his Mrs. Jen?
Jenny, yeah. We were talking about her last week. Debbie mentioned it as well, that she was in jail the same time as Jennifer.
Oh, really?
Jennifer hung herself. Yeah. And she actually thought that Jennifer might have had something to do with slipping her a Valium or something, to get her calm.
She was a bit of work, mate.
Jenny.
Mm.
Yeah, well, that's why Debbie obviously knows that as well. That's why she thinks she may have had something to do with what happened to Jennifer.
When you read my book, she propositioned me to knock John.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they got robbed when they were living in Double Bay, and I know who robbed them. Bobby Chapman and Jimmy Katunis robbed them. I found that later on out in jails, who done the robbing, and he jumped out the window and left her. Fucking just took off and left her, the weak cunt. And anyway, I came in that next morning.
What is that, when they were living down in Roslyn Gardens?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And she cuddled me. He wasn't there, and she said to me, "Will you do me a favour?" And I said, "What's that, sweetheart?" She goes, "Take John out in the boat and teach him to be a man. If you can't teach him, don't bring him back." As I said to you, everyone I know that we grew up with, you and I are the only two that I know at our age that made something of their life and have, been, mate, I'm a good dad. That's to my life story. That's my success story. I'm clean and I'm a good dad. I mightn't have been the perfect husband to many of the girls I was with. I mightn't have been the fucking best bloke in the world, but I was the best dad I could be with what I was taught. And to me, that's success. And today, I'm not a bad human being. I'm not out there fucking hurting people anymore. I'm not out there robbing and selling gear and fucking, being an asswipe, mate. I try to help people today, mate. I'll help anybody. If I think someone's got the arse out of their pants, I'll put my hand in my pocket. I'll give them a feed. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not because you think you've got to. It's just you want to. That's the nice part. You do it subconsciously. It's like, oh, this poor cunt's doing. If I see someone who's homeless, I say, mate, you got a jumper? If they say no, they can have my jumper. And
yeah, well, I haven't. I can honestly say I haven't hurt anyone for a fair while. But I was a low life before I got clean. Yeah. Absolute shocker.
Yeah.
And I didn't bar anyone. I was happy to rob anyone when I was at my worst.
Yeah. I'm guilty. I'd rob anyone when I was fucking sick, mate. It was horrible. I hated why I stopped using was because I hated the person I become. I never hated drugs. I loved drugs. But I hated the person I become when I used them.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the same, right? I'd hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy down there. So I finally had enough. As I said to you, first time I went to jail, I liked it that much. I went back again. It's crazy shit.
Yeah, I liked it that much that I fucking lived there. I thought it was home. It's true, that's where my mates were.
Yeah.
You get back and they'll be like, "Hey mate, how are you? Hello mate, how are you, mate?" It's like, what the fuck? I remember getting pinched. This was towards the end of before I went to rehab. It was about 1979. And I got pinched and I was with another mate of mine from the Nick. And they threw me in the cells. And I remember laying there thinking, thank fuck I'm pinched. I don't have to get up and rob someone tomorrow morning. I don't have to do this madness. I'm in a stolen car, sleeping in dirty, rotten motels, breaking into people's houses, which become, my shit crime in the end.
So when did you get out? Last.
This time, I got it on the 30th of the 12th, 2012. 10 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago now, yeah. So I got out 11 years ago. And I hadn't been to jail for 20 years. It was funny. There was a 20 years break between jail sentences. Fuck, jail had changed.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would have noticed a big change because I've spoken to some people and, it's completely different.
Well, when I was in jail, I was a junkie and I was the outcast. When I went back to jail, I was the clean guy and I was the outcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because the whole jail's full of drugs these days.
Yep.
So yeah, mate. No, it's not my world. It's not what I choose today. And the nice part is
what I've been told, there's a lot more drugs in jail now than what there was back 25 years ago.
It's out of control. It's out of control.
Yeah.
It's all subby and boop. They all use all subby and boop in there. Because I don't know a lot about subby, but apparently you can get one tablet, you can get 8 or 10 shots out of it. So they're selling each shot for $50 each. So they're getting $400 for a fucking little tablet.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what they'll get in
I
there.
only know what it is and what it's used for, but I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's what they'll do. And I've been home 11 years. 11 years ago, if you got 4 subby tech, you were Don Corleone. You're the guy. I used to bag them, because I'm a drug smuggler. I used to bag them and go, you can't have got 4 pills and you think you're fucking the Godfather. You got $12 worth of pills. You run around the joint like you're a fucking gangster.
Well, they were in there.
Yeah.
Because the next 2 blokes didn't have any.
Yeah, today's fucking roosters, tomorrow's feather duster, but they always give each other up. Mate, I seen blokes in there giving each other up for a shot. They're giving each other up the screws and fucking lying and ripping mates, ripping each other off and then caving their heads in for a dirty rotten fucking $6 tablet. It was horrific. It was horrific, mate. My last lagging was such an eye-opener. You know what? It made me really reassess drug dealing and anything to do with drugs. And I just seen what our society had become because of drugs. And I thought, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of that whole enabling people to use drugs. I don't want to be fucking a scumbag drug dealer anymore. And it's a really nice feeling, not wanting to be involved. I don't even talk to people who deal dope anymore, mate. If I know someone's working, I don't want to fucking talk to them. I've got nothing in common with them, Jimmy. I want to talk to people who love their children and look after their family and having a go, and helping people. That's what I want. To me, gangster today is putting food on the table for me kids, picking my kids up from school, looking after me. I met your little.
What's your missus do all day?
She works with our company, mate. She does all the editing. She does all the fucking filing.
With what outcome?
No, all the editing for my podcast. She does all the invoicing, all the bills, all the bookwork. Plus, she's a mum, full-time mum. Plus, she's got a clothing line coming out. She's got her own clothing line coming out this year, which she's been working on for a long time, mate. She's got her own little clothing line, gym wear and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're starting a men's and women clothing company, just hoodies and T-shirts and that, all under my Truth About Addiction brand. But that hasn't been. I made a bunch of what I did. I made 50 Sloppy Joes hoodies, they call them now. We old cunts call them Sloppy Joes. I made 50 hoodies a month ago because it's winter, and we went and gave them to all the homeless people. We just got them printed with the Truth About Addiction on them, and we got the Truth About Addiction on the back that says "It sucks." And we went out and gave them to all the homeless people. And my little boy, because my little boy's got a pretty good life, and he's only 8, and I want him to see that not everybody lives like we do. And he was so cute. We went out and we made up food packs, noodles and cans of soup and shit so they can get a food as well. And he said to me, we got back in the car and he said, "Can we find some more homeless people tomorrow, Dad?" Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, mate, there's plenty around. We can always find them."
Got many up there?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Yeah, we got a stack down here.
It's sad. It's really sad. And
they're everywhere.
His families. His mum, dad, and 2 kids living in a fucking tent in a park.
Yeah, they just went and place they call Tent City down here. They went and dismantled it yesterday, and apparently majority of them got put into emergency housing.
Oh, good.
So they found some accommodation for them, but it's only a temporary thing.
Yeah,
Ronnie, and I said to Debbie when I was driving her back from the hospital, I said, most of them just fucking packed up, took their clothes and left their tents and everything there. I'd be taking my fucking tent because if it's only temporary, I might need it.
I need my tent when I get out. I need my tent when I get back out. When I get kicked out of the temporary housing, I need my tent.
Yeah. And a lot of them get kicked out of the temporary housing because of their mental illness, And
it's quite sad, mate. It really is sad. And as I say to everybody, I can't change the world, but I can change me.
Yep.
And in changing me, maybe I can help the world. So just for the day, mate, I just want to be a human being, not a human taking. Because I was just a human taking. I took everything, mate. I took people's fucking everything. I don't want to go into what I used to take. I'd take anything and everything. I had no principles. I had no morals.
But we didn't start out like that.
No.
But they weren't our intentions. That's just how the addiction took us.
And that's what the disease of addiction does.
Yeah.
You know. But today, the nice part is, mate, we're not those people. We have a choice, and today we're carrying a message of hope and fucking, and that there is a way out. Everybody
You have
thinks
to want it. If you want it bad enough, you can do it.
if you don't want it, you're never going to get it. It's like everything else, And I really wanted to have you on the podcast because a lot of people think that you've got to go to 12-step programs or you've got to go and do this. No, you don't. You just got to want to.
Yeah, you've got to want it.
You've got to want to, and then you got to.
And whatever works for you,
Yep.
whatever works for you, that's
100%.
That's all you need.
100%, mate. That's right. As I said to you, that was one of the biggest things. I wanted to have you on because you're a fucking mate and we've got a lot of history. But I wanted you on because you weren't the average Joe Blow. I went to a rehab and I went to this 12-step program and I'm in the 12-step. That's me. I went to the 12-step program.
Yep.
I say to people, I don't give a fuck if you go to religion, you go to fucking badminton, you go to 12-step. I don't care what you do. Whether you use fitness, you've got to have something to channel that energy into. And you've got to have a belief that's greater than yourself that everything's going to be okay as long as I don't pick up. Then you've got to be aware that if you pick up one, you usually fucking start all over again.
Yeah, you're back on the roller coaster.
That's the trap.
Yeah.
I say to people all the time, if you get hit by a train, what kills you? The first carriage or the last one? Fucking first carriage is the one that kills you, mate. Don't worry about that, All right, Jimmy, mate, thank you very much for your time, brother.
Welcome.
It's been a pleasure, mate, and I hope that we can help somebody and somebody gets something out of what we've talked about today.
That'd be good.
I'm looking at both of them. I'm starting to think. You remember the what was that show? Fucking laughing. The Muppet Show. Those two silly old bastards sit up there. That's us now.
Yeah, but at least we got here. Well, at least we're old.
Exactly. All right, brother.
Good on you. Take care.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.